And it's BourbonBlog.com, a very special edition of BourbonBlog.com live tonight as I'm welcoming my good friend for many years in the spirits business, world-renowned food and beverage expert, Anthony Caporale. How's it going, Anthony?
Good, Tom. How you doing, man?
Good, good. Hey, it's great to have you. I know you have some fun cocktails that you've been working on during COVID, and you always have a great cocktail there.
I try, man. Otherwise, how do I keep you as a friend for so long?
That's right. Well, Anthony's joining us live from New York. I'm right on the border of Indiana and Kentucky, and you may know Anthony from the Imbible, the hit Off-Broadway musical. You may know him from Art of the Drink. I first met you when you were doing Art of the Drink years ago in New York over at a whiskey festival, I believe, didn't I?
Yeah. We did some stuff at Tales of the Cocktail. We've done some stuff at Manhattan Cocktail Classic together. But yeah, it was when I was working when I was doing the Art of the Drink series, working with Maker's Mark, and of course, you know, they're still my baby. Love Maker's Mark. We'll be working with them tonight. And then when I moved on to become the national brand ambassador for Drambuie, we did a bunch more stuff because, you know, Drambuie, Scotch liqueur, whiskey base, another beautiful, beautiful product. So we were able to work together for that. And I think pretty much every project I've ever worked on, we've done something on BourbonBlog, including the Imbible.
That's right. That's right. The Imbible is incredible. And we know you, like so many that are in the theater business right now, that obviously not able to perform that, but obviously, you know, you'll be back at it soon, I'm sure. And in the meantime, we'll be talking about here in a few minutes the virtual theater festival that you put on too. Yeah,
that's right. We're looking for new ways to, you know, try and get two really, really important industries, not just in my life, but for the economy and you know, the rest of the world. Theater and food and beverage, obviously, very, very hard hit. So looking for anything we can do to help them come back, be creative, think outside the box. And, you know, thanks for Tom always being there, supporting the industry, supporting the bartenders, supporting the drinkers, which is really important because at the end of the day, it's all about the guests. It's all about the folks hopefully sitting at home watching this, which is, you know, kind of why I came up with this video or this drink rather. But thanks, Tom. I mean, you know, what you do is amazing, and you do it so well.
Well, it's my pleasure. Always good to see you, my friend. And for those of you watching Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, like this video, share it. We want it to feel like a really great night where we can all have a cocktail virtually together, and even tell us down below or tweet back to us and let us know what you're drinking. And the ingredients for this first cocktail are so easy that it's so innovative, but yet so easy to do. How did this cocktail come about?
So same way the beard came about, Tom. Sitting at home, isolated, baking sourdough bread. And honestly, you know, it's funny because one of the things that I'm realizing is that, you know, whenever you think you have a really great, innovative, unique idea, the beauty of the internet is that it tells you in no uncertain terms that everyone else had the exact same great, unique, innovative idea. And so, like everyone else, I was like, well, you know, I'm not going to be leaving the house for a little while. Why shave? So the beard. And of course, I'm in the beverage alcohol industry. So fermentation is a part of everything that I do. It's, you know, it's the heart of our industry, literally the engine that drives our industry. I like to say is fermentation, and yeast is the bus driver. So, you know, at the Imbible, we actually do demonstrations of fermentation, you know, live on stage every night. And when I started, you know, thinking about, well, what am I going to do to kind of fill the time? Sourdough bread seemed to be like the thing, you know, again, just kind of figure more and more out about yeast, and it turns out everyone else had the same idea. So as I'm making sourdough bread and growing the beard, I'm going through lots and lots of great jams and jellies, and I end up with
in the beard. Do the jellies kind of get in there, or do they?
Yeah, everything. Yeah, everything gets in there. Yeah, I have a great collection of beard combs now. But what you end up with, what I end up with anyway, is these jars of jam that are right. you know, not empty, but empty.
A little bit of stuff, right?
Right. So what are you going to do? And, you know, I like to get nice jams and jellies. So some of these things cost, you know, $6 to $12.
Right.
So I'm thinking, well, what am I going to do? And the old fashioned is kind of my go-to drink because it's really more of a template than a drink, which is how I teach it. And if you kind of go back to the origins of the old fashioned, you're looking at, you know, like about 2 ounces of a spirit, dark spirit, something to sweeten it up, and then something to balance it. And in the case of the old fashioned, it's bitters. So I'm looking at this and I'm going, I've done cocktails with jams and jellies as sweeteners. That looks like about what I would want to add to a whiskey. So I said, let me see if I could just, you know, use this as the sweetener. And right. That's how the jelly jar old fashioned came about. And I've tried it with all kinds of different jams. I've tried it with all kinds of different bitters, and I've tried it with all kinds of different whiskeys. So the cool thing about this is that you have 3 ingredients and you can change them up.
Right.
And, you know, you can get everything you need. You can get all the bitters in the world on Amazon. You know, they're delivering booze to your door in an hour now. And, you know, jams and jellies are, again, Amazon, the supermarket, whatever you want. So change it up. And then
a little bit of jelly left. See how
just
much
a little bit of jelly left. That's exactly right.
Jelly left.
So, you know, I've done it
away, wouldn't we? We'd kind of pitch this.
What's that?
We would usually pitch it when we saw this much jelly.
Exactly. So this way you not only save the jam, but this becomes the glass. I mean, the idea was to just, as quick as possible, have a great drink. So why don't I go ahead and, do you want me to just go ahead and make one?
Yeah, let's make it.
So, yeah, this is literally like dead simple. I'm not going to use anything that they use in the bars, but I think you're going to love this drink, and it's really easy to change up. So I'm using sour cherry is what I have left, and I have a 16-ounce jar. I want to use about 4 ounces of bourbon in this so I can sip it for a little while. And again, make it as simple as possible. I'm just going to fill the jar up about quarter of the way, and that's going to be 4 ounces. And so I saved myself a jigger and something else that I might have to clean.
All right.
So I'm
going to put some bourbon into ice. Anthony, I'm a big fan of Maker's Mark as well. Since I'm near Kentucky, I see you're using Maker's Mark. Just to make things fun, I decided to use our bourbon made close to you, Kings County from Brooklyn.
And I love those guys. Thank you for a shout out to them.
Absolutely.
Great group.
There. So I got.
All right.
There we go.
So we're going across the country here. I'm using your stuff. You're using my stuff. So again, I just got about 4 ounces. If you do 4.5, no one dies. No one goes to the hospital. You're just making a drink. Just relax, right? So it is important, though, that you want to put the bourbon in before you put ice in here, because if you put ice in there, then the jelly's not going to dissolve, and the bourbon will dissolve it really well. So you put the cap back on, and I'm just going to shake to make sure the cap's on nice really well, and just give it a really good shake, just like you see your bartenders do.
This is like the instant shaker, right?
It is. It's everything. This is what I'm saying. It's everything. You don't have to clean anything when you're done. And it does a really, really good job of getting all the jam and the jelly. The alcohol is a great solvent.
Yeah,
it's going to just clean that right up for you.
So
this already, you know, is 2/3 of the way to an old fashioned. I have the bourbon and I have the sweetener, and it's flavored, which is a bonus to me. Yeah. So now I can go ahead and ice it down, and I'm just going to put some ice into the jar. And again, yeah, don't get crazy about this. As much ice as you can fit.
All right.
Right? Just about like that to the top. I like it. So I don't know if you can see that.
Very nice.
Right? And then jar, the lid goes back on. Nice and tight. And now we're going to shake it to chill it.
Let's shake it again.
And we're going to dilute it. There's no mixer in this, right? This is just booze. So you want to really shake this well, get that ice melt in there, cut that alcohol down, open up the bourbon, and I'm aerating this, which is really, really important. I'm getting a nice foam on it. And what that's going to do is capture all those flavors and bring them right to your nose. So, I mean, I don't know if you can see this, but I just got a great kind of light rose color going on here, right?
Some of that color comes off. The flavors are coming off there. I have I have an apple pie moonshine jelly that I'm using that's locally made, so it's going to have some of those apple pie flavors.
That's amazing. So when you open it, just take the lid off and just give it a nose.
All right.
And it's all right there. I mean, you got the again, right? It's right there. All right, and then just pick a bitters. It's like whatever you want. I do 2 dashes. I happen to have some Scrappy's lavender bitters, which I think is going to go really well with the sour cherry. And bitters, I have to actually teach this in class, so forgive me if you know how to do this. But the key with bitters is the top is what's called a dasher. You just want to go straight down twice, 1, 2. If you make a little bit of a mess, you did it right. So I like to add that right on top because bitters are aromatic, and this jar is just going to catch all that.
It's catching it all.
Give it a nose.
All right.
So I got lavender, sour cherry, and Maker's Mark. It's great. And you're done. Like, that's it.
Oh, this is the glass, and here it is.
It's labeled. I mean, it's great for a party. You can just set them out. You can put the lids on them if you want. Throw some mint in there. I'm going to just have some.
Yes. Cheers, Anthony.
Cheers. How do you like that?
I love this. So apple jelly. I have some Old Forester smoked cinnamon bitters. So, and those jelly flavors, I mean, obviously the simple syrup or whatever might be your sweetener is always nice, but that jelly is so natural. It has such a great note. I mean, it's beautiful. It's really incredible.
Yeah, it's just a flavored simple syrup at its core. You know, a good jam or jelly, especially the good organic ones, they're just fruit and sugar. You know, that's pretty much it. Yeah. And if you take simple syrup and add, some gelatin or pectin to it, that's pretty much flavored simple syrup. That's what you're going to get, especially things like mint jelly. So when I teach cocktail classes, especially when I'm teaching people how to do recipe development or developing new cocktail menus, I always tell people stick with the classics and springboard off them, right? Just extend them by like 1 element or 2 elements. So rather than just use regular simple syrup, which is great and fine, use a flavored simple syrup. And if you're going to go one beyond that, jams, jellies, even marmalades, they all work because they will bring sweetness, which is what you really want. That's what you need for the old-fashioned template. And they'll bring flavor. And so you can take a basic old-fashioned, flavor it any way you want.
Yes.
You don't have to just use the bitters to do that. You can use the sweetener to do that as well.
Wow.
So, again, this to me, this is really, really fun. I've had a lot of these. I've actually bought extra jam and jelly and made extra bread just to get to the bottom, which is great. It's sitting outside on a Saturday afternoon or whatever. It's just a really, really fun drink. So what I would love is to have people play with this, just bring different ingredients to the table, add stuff, like I said, add some mint, you can do basil in there, you can do fresh fruit in there, whatever it is that you want, get creative and post it on BourbonBlog. Is that cool?
Yeah, we should. Yeah, if you're watching this, now or later, tell us down below what you're going to try, or drop us an email and let us know if you stumbled across one, and maybe next time we have Anthony back on, he and I will go out and get that jelly and those bitters, and we'll look and see who has kind of the most interesting submission. But there are no wrong submissions, right? Anything could be perfect, right?
Absolutely. And so, yeah, like I said, I'd love to see what people do with this and how far they can take it. So, cheers, my friend.
Amazing, Anthony. It has such a flavor of Americana. It's something that we've enjoyed in our youth, jelly, right? In our adulthood, and we kind of are enjoying the whiskey, but we're all bringing America and kind of the generations together with something that, how can you not smile when you see this, right? Jelly jar old fashioned. This is,
and you know what I like about it? It's what do they call it? Upcycling, I think is what I'm supposed to call it, right? I mean, you're getting everything out of the jar, you're using it as the glass. So anyway, I thought it would be a fun drink to make with you, and thanks for letting me bring that on.
Thank you. Someone just said, Paul watching us on YouTube said, can't believe the amount of jelly I've wasted through the years. Well, now Paul, now you will know this is something it just inspires us to make cocktails. Donald Snyder, always appreciate Donald watching. Can't wait to finish my raspberry preserves. Anthony, you may have started something that you know, who knows? Some jelly companies will say, look, there's never an end to a jelly jar, right? Just keep putting the booze in.
I hope so, man. That would be great. That would be terrific.
No, it's great. And again, we're watching, you're watching BourbonBlog live right here. Wherever you're watching, please like this, share this, BourbonBlog/live. Make sure you bookmark that. We do fun things every night, but I've been looking forward to this night in particular with my good friend, Anthony Caporale, for a while. And Anthony, you're doing a class. Is it later this week you're going to be doing a class with Tell us about that.
Yeah, so I'm also the director of spirits education at the Institute of Culinary Education here in New York, which is ice.edu. And like most other educational institutions, we've been closed, and we're just starting to reopen now with phase 4, I believe it is, in New York City. And I teach in what's called the professional department, the career department for folks that are looking to become professional chefs, professional bakers, and in my program, professional restaurant operators and managers. But I also teach a lot of the recreational program, which is continuing education, professional development. And that's where I get to teach some really, really fun cocktail classes. And unfortunately, those, you know, we had to stop those back in March, and we haven't been able to start them again. And I've been waiting to do some online. And this Friday, we're doing our first dedicated cocktail class, and it's on bourbon. It's bourbon cocktails at 6 p.m. Yeah, and you can find it if you go to ice.edu. You can search for the recreational classes, the online cocktail classes. Also, if you go to my Facebook page, which is Facebook.com/Anthony Caporale. I posted a link there, and it's free. Registration is free. You know, we're just going to be making some great drinks for about an hour, and we'll go over some really, really cool bourbon drinks.
Right. So again, ice.edu or Facebook /Anthony Caporale. I'll put that up there. That way people can look on Facebook at Anthony Caporale or /Anthony Caporale on Facebook. I'll definitely be watching. I can't wait to see the class. You have some, what's one of the cocktails you'll be making, Anthony?
We're gonna do a Blackberry Bramble. Yeah, I'm sure a bunch of people have done it, but it was a cocktail that I worked on for a class that we used to do back when we were open as part of our whiskey series. But it's a Bramble. You'll learn all about Brambles and how to incorporate some fresh fruit into the bourbon. I think we're also going to do a classic Manhattan. So I'll probably spend a little bit of time talking about the Manhattan and the origins of Manhattan. Another one of my favorite drinks, as much for the story as for the actual liquid in the glass, and you know, and the fact that this is where I live. So.
That's incredible. Well, we'll definitely look forward to that on this Friday. And Anthony, you know, tell us a little bit also about, I know we touched on it briefly, but you really created the first musical that really encompasses the history of alcohol. Yeah.
And I never get used to hearing it put that way, but yeah. So the series is called The Imbible.
Right.
We actually took Imbible is a mashup of imbibe, to drink, and Bible, the book. So the book of the drink. My background is equal parts theater and restaurants. And I actually tell people that's the same thing when you get down to it. It's all entertainment and experiences. And I about 6 years ago had an opportunity to take those two loves, that teaching specifically about beverage alcohol, cocktails, spirits, and acting, and combine them into a show, which I've been, you know, lucky enough to have run for the last 6 years.
Wow.
And we currently have 4 of them. But yeah, the original show, A Spirited History of Drinking, is a history, as it says, 10,000 years, starting with the discovery of fermentation, going right up to the craft cocktail movement. And it's why we drink, what we drink, how we drink. As I mentioned, we make mead. We ferment mead live on stage every night. We distill moonshine live on stage every night. And we serve 3 drinks during the show. And as we serve the drinks, we teach you about the history of the drinks. And it's all done with sketches and comedy and costumes and really, really great a cappella music. I'm a big fan of a cappella, and specifically barbershop. And all of our Imbible shows are 4-part, beautiful, beautiful a cappella. We have an amazing arranger, Josh Ehrlich, who has just put together some phenomenal music for us. So if you like music and comedy and cocktails, check out Imbible.com, and hopefully we'll be back, pretty soon. We're not sure what the time frame looks like, but right before COVID did what it did, we were working on our first national tour, and we're still working on that. So we may be able to bring a small version of the show to your hometown before we even can open up here in New York. So we'll see. I mean, who knows? But that's the idea.
It's a great series you've created. Again, that's I had a "the" in front of it. It's actually Imbible.com. Go to Imbible.com. I've seen it many times, and it's just it's an amazing show you've done. If you're heading to New York and you're looking into the future, bookmark that and see all the great things Anthony's done, and great music, great original music you all have created, and at the same time you're supporting the Actors Fund. Tell us about the Actors Fund that's helping.
Yeah, so again, trying to figure out how to help these industries come back. One of the things that I've been working on since the live version of the shows was closed is doing live online and trying to figure out, what is the technology that we need to translate that live theater experience to live online so that it's still magic and still live and still high quality, but is something that we can do reasonably from a cost standpoint, from a technology standpoint, and is different from just pre-filmed videos and movies,
right,
or TV, because that's not what live theater is. So we've been working on that, and one of the things that my team and I realized is it's going to take a lot more brain power than any one production company has. Right. So we founded theater. Well, what we think is the first, and I'm sure it's not anymore, so please keep the comments to a minimum. At the time, we were hoping it was going to be the first virtual theater festival, and I think there's dozens of them now. But we teamed up with Playbill, and also a great technology company called Be Terrific, and right, we founded Playbill Virtual Theater Festival. And you can find out more about it at the website, which is VTF, Virtual Theater Festival, VTF.live. And the idea there is let the theater community and the producers figure out what this is going to look like, and what they can do, what they want to do, and then let the audiences give them feedback. So in October is when the festival is going to air, and it's going to be hosted on Playbill. We're going to have about a dozen virtual theater productions live online. They'll all be broadcast that night live, and they'll all be original, and they'll be short, about 10 minutes each is what we're starting with. And then at the end, we have a panel of judges, and they're going to pick a winner, and the winner's going to get $1,500.
That's cool.
Yeah, and that's I know that's significant for our theater company. That was certainly significant for our theater company when we were doing festivals. So we hope that's going to be helpful. But then the audience is also going to pick a winner. And to me, that's what I'm really interested to see is what productions the audience likes. And that winner is going to get $1,500. So hopefully, there's not a whole lot of acting work out there. We know this isn't $1 million, but it's something. So if you are interested in theater, if you're a producer, if you're friends with producers, if you know theater, if you're just a theater fan, please spread the word, VTF.live.
VTF.live. I put it down there. And that's where people can learn about it, submit their show to you all, and a way for all of us who enjoy good theater, good musicals, to say, hey, this is something that we can experience at home. And then that'll be broadcast. When will that be broadcast again? That's going to be broadcast in October. I believe it's the third weekend in October. That's, again, on the website. But submissions are open through August 13th, I believe, so about 2.5 more weeks. Then we'll be picking the participants, and then we'll bring the festival to you in October. So get a jelly jar. You're doing so many great things. Sit back and watch Playbill. And we're going to watch your theater festival, and we'll look forward to seeing, of course, more Imbible when you all are back up and going. That'll be nice to see all the new productions in the Imbible series. Well, I'm loving this cocktail. I understand there's another one that you created during COVID. We've been experimenting with cocktails here at home too, and for those of you that are watching that have been experimenting. Tell us what you've been making and what you are drinking tonight. A lot of people are drinking some great stuff, it looks like. What's this other cocktail that we have?
So this one is called the Pineapple Espresso. That's not a mistake. And so again, this was born of quarantine. What a horrible phrase that is. But again, my girlfriend had a craving for pina coladas one afternoon. It was we were sitting outside. It was hot, and I love a good pina colada. And so I went out and I got the stuff for the pina coladas, and I had some leftover the next day. I had some pineapple juice left over. And I was like, what can I do with some pineapple juice? And I don't, I kind of want to go outside the box here. And we're also big coffee fans / geeks. I didn't drink coffee until, oh gosh, it was probably my mid-30s. And the first coffee I ever drank was at an Art of the Drink shoot when we were doing an episode at a coffee shop. Really cool craft, roast your own beans kind of thing. And the owner was just really a perfectionist. And he wanted to pull the perfect espresso shot, and I had to drink it. And so he pulled one, we filmed it, and I'd never had more than a sip of coffee in my life. But I had to drink the espresso shot and tell him how great it was. And I did, and it was. And he didn't like how that one was pulled. So he did it 4 more times. And every time he did it, I had to drink it and tell him how great it was. And for some reason, by the end of the shoot, I had a taste for espresso. And to this day, I still am not a big fan of drip coffee. So we drink a lot of espresso, and I roast my own beans now and that kind of stuff. So I'm looking at some pineapple juice as I'm drinking some espresso, and I'm like, you know what? Let's just put them together. So this drink is a little bit different from the Jelly Jar Old Fashioned in terms of ingredients, but sort of the inspiration is the same. It's what I had combined in a way that I thought was kind of unique. All right, so
excellent.
We're going to start with a mixing glass, and the reason I'm going to start with a mixing glass here is because you learn very quickly when you're working with hot espresso that you do not want to pour it into a mixing tin while you're holding it. So don't do that. The glass stays a little bit cooler, and even that, make sure you hold up by the top here so you don't burn yourself. All right, so I'm actually going to take a shot of espresso, and this is about 2 ounces of espresso. And I'm going to add about a ½ ounce of honey. And you can see right away we're going sticking right with the fundamentals of sweet and bitter, just like we have in an old-fashioned. And this one, the same way we shook the Jelly Jar old-fashioned before we put the ice in it, I want to make sure we dissolve the honey in the espresso before we ice it down. Honey does not like dissolving in cold liquids, and it also doesn't dissolve real well in alcohol. Sugars in general don't dissolve real well in alcohol. So I like to pre-dissolve them either as a syrup, like a simple syrup, or in this case, coffee syrup. So this is a coffee honey syrup is really what I'm making here. So now that I have that honey nicely dissolved, now I can ice this down. And I'm going to add about half of the volume of the mixing glass. See if I can get this ice out of here. There we go. About half the volume of the mixing glass with ice, and then some pineapple juice. And I'm going to say 6 ounces, but like I said before, don't stress. There's too much else to worry about. So you want to do 4, do 4. You want to do 2, whatever you want. So that's probably closer to 4 actually there. And now I'm going to pick up my tin because I want to shake this. Pineapple juice shakes beautifully well. And I need some booze in there. And I'm going to use Kraken rum. And this is a dark flavored rum. I'm going to do about 2 ounces of Kraken rum. And now I'm going to shake it. And I really want to shake it well because, again, pineapple juice is one of my favorite things in the world to shake, and you'll see why. So the key here is you want to shake it until you get frost on the tin. It's going to be challenging because the espresso warmed things up pretty well.
Very nice. And Anthony, someone asked down below, when it comes to shaking versus stirring, remembering the cocktails we should shake versus stirring, what do you recommend?
Don't. I'll tell you in 1 second. All right, so we have, you can see I got some beautiful,
look at that. Lovely.
Yeah, beautiful texture on this. And I'm going to strain this over fresh ice, because the ice in the tin at this point, we call it burned. It's kind of given up all of its love. So we're just going to strain this, and you can see, hopefully you can see what that looks like. Looks like a beautiful milkshake. That's exactly what you want. And I'm going to garnish it with a slice of fresh pineapple.
Beautiful. I already got mine.
And we're probably going to want a straw with this. And you can see what I was saying. Pineapple juice, just when you shake pineapple juice, you can see it looks like a Guinness. It literally will just separate like a Guinness, and you'll get this beautiful head at the top, and that's full of flavor and it's full of aroma. And again, it's just a beautiful, beautiful texture. And again, that dark rum, honey, pineapple juice, and the espresso for the bitterness. And if you're going to get technical, not only is that bringing flavor and caffeine, it's bringing that bitterness that I need to balance the sweetness of the honey, and the sweetness of the pineapple juice. Yeah, you always got to have that balance. We actually have a song in the show, the Imbible, called Sweet and Bitter, because you always have to remember that's what you want. You want that balance. And if you're not balancing sweet with bitter, then you want to balance it with sour. And that's usually like a citrus juice, like some sort of acidic lemon, lime, orange. So we actually have a lot of elements going on in here. And I'm just going to go ahead and taste this because I just love this drink. Cheers. Cheers. You got one?
I have one.
I love it.
Yes, this is so good. I love the frothiness. We made this. Annabelle just made this for me. We put ours in a Kentucky Derby glass. So
I love it.
Bringing that Kentucky theme back. This is beautiful. That kind of that chocolatey note of the espresso coming up through the pineapple. Just so good. I mean, this is so balanced. And then again, you said it so well. It's all about the balance, the bitter, the sweet, balancing those out. And if it's not the sweet, again, you do bitter sour. Is that kind of where you go to? Yeah,
bitter sour. And you can do sweet, sour, and bitter. But you know, there are a lot of drinks that have that. But I guess one of the ways that you can really tell like a good chef or a good artist, because someone who's really good, I guess, at what they do, is focus, right? I always say that the difference between the novice and the master is the novice just takes the kitchen sink approach. They take everything and throw it in the glass. Whereas someone who's been doing it a long time will take 3 ingredients and combine them, 4 ingredients and combine them in a way that you just haven't thought of, and it'll blow your mind. I've been lucky enough to judge a lot of cocktail competitions across the country. And when I actually create the rules to cocktail competitions, I always try and, if I'm in a position to do that, I always say 5 ingredients tops, and that includes the garnish. Because if you can't do it with 5, you can't do it. And I like to see 3 liquid, 3 in the glass, 3, maybe 4 in the glass, right? Because if you can't do it with that, you're just throwing stuff at the wall to see if it sticks. So back to your question, pick one, pick a camp. Go sweet and bitter, play with that. Go sweet and sour, play with that. Tons and tons of cocktails that you can explore using just those ingredients. And again, that old fashioned is that template. It's, any spirit really that you like, sweetened with any sweetener that you like, and then balanced with any bitters that you like. That is the template. And if you go the other direction, spirit, sweetener, and sour, you have what I call not just me, but the sour family of drinks. And that includes daiquiris and margaritas and, probably this.
So good.
Literally everything from screwdrivers to blood and sands. So play with those, keep the number of ingredients in the glass to a minimum, but get creative with them and start subbing them in and out. And that's how you're really going to find, in my mind, how you're really going to find that next great drink. So the question:
see 3 to 5 ingredients. Ideally 3-ish, but up to 5. That's the max.
Yeah, I mean, you see, I got 5 in here, and this is probably one of the most complicated drinks that I'm ever going to make.
Right. Right.
Yeah, and that's including the garnish, right? Again, it's a matter of focus and intention.
Wow.
You really want to pick the ingredients and let them shine.
Yeah.
So if I did my job with this drink, you should be able to taste all of the ingredients in here. None of them should step on each other, but they should all be kind of complementing each other.
Yes.
So hopefully that's what you're getting.
They're so balanced.
So your question, or your viewer's question, and I love it. So how do you remember the drink versus shaking and stirring? And I answer this question with an analogy to cooking. And I always say it's like asking a chef how to remember which ingredients to boil and which ingredients to fry. Right. And the answer is that's not how chefs think. You don't do that. To say you can't boil chicken is just not a true statement. If you're making chicken soup, that's what you need to do. Right. If you're trying to make fried chicken, then you don't want to start by boiling the chicken, probably. You want to fry it. So it's about the intention and it's about the presentation that you're trying to achieve. I, for example, I'm known for getting yelled at for shaking Manhattans. Now, technically, in the canon of cocktails, a Manhattan is a stirred drink. Right. But I like mine shaken, and my cardinal rule is you need to enjoy what you're drinking. Don't tell me what to drink or how to drink it. That's an exclusive mentality, and that's not what this industry is about. This is an inclusive activity that we're doing, and I think that's important if we are going to get back to where we want to be. So I always tell bartenders, don't tell the guests what to do and what not to do. Make them what they want the way they want it. If I want my Manhattan shaken, shake my Manhattan. I have good reasons for it, and this is what it is. When you shake, let's start with stirring. When you stir a drink, you're doing two things, and neither of them are mixing, believe it or not. You put two liquids in a glass, they mix. Gravity does that for you. When you stir, you're chilling the drink, and you're diluting the drink. And that's really, really important, and that's probably my two most important jobs when I'm behind the bar. Controlling temperature and controlling dilution. That's all stirring does. When you shake, you're doing two additional things. You're aerating the drink, which is the head, and you're introducing ice chips. And I love both of those things because most of the heavy lifting when it comes to tasting anything isn't done by the tongue, it's done by the nose. So if my nose isn't playing, I'm not tasting. And again, we have an entire song about this in one of our shows. So when you aerate a drink, essentially you're allowing more of the aroma, the flavor, to be captured and to be brought to your nose before you're drinking and while you're drinking. All of those micro bubbles will pop.
They're coming up
on your palate. They go right up to your nose.
Right.
So the intensity of the drink is increased when you shake it. And it's why people like carbonated beer better than flat beer. It's why we carbonate soft drinks. Champagne, if you don't like wine, you might like champagne. So that's important. Also, temperature, I said, is really important. And when you introduce ice chips, they're little baby ice cubes, and they keep the drink colder longer. It's as simple as that. I like my drinks cold unless I'm drinking a hot toddy. Then I want it hot. In between doesn't do anything for me. So if I'm paying $15, $20, $25 for a drink like we do in New York, I want it made properly. I want to taste it, and I want it to be at the right temperature. More likely to happen if it's shaken. And if I get a good bartender and they really shake it with a lot of love, I'm going to have a good 20, 25 minutes to enjoy that drink. It's going to stay ice cold, and all the flavor is going to be opened up by the shaking. So that's why I like my Manhattan shaken. And that's why I shake Manhattans when I'm drinking them for me. But if you like your Manhattan stirred, stir it. That's what I want you to do. Try it both ways. So, long answer to a very short question.
Well,
don't try and remember whether to shake or stir a particular drink. That's useful in trivia contests and if you're working with bartenders that use medicine droppers, and that's great. A lot of them are some of my best friends. But if you're just trying to make the best drink, I want you to think about your intention. Are you going to boil the chicken or are you going to fry the chicken? And as long as you are executing your intention, you're doing it right. And don't let anybody tell you differently. I always tell people the most important thing when you're at a bar or making drinks is drink what you like.
That's right. Do it.
It's the hardest thing in the world.
Right.
But drink what you like, and again, don't let somebody make you feel bad about it.
Right. Do it the way you like, and it's so well said, Anthony. Is there anything you would ever do stirred then? Most everything you like to do shaken?
No, I like a lot of things stirred. Again, if I'm trying to do a presentation where the drink is clear, I don't want the bubbles. They will they make the drink look different. They change the color of the drink. If I'm serving something on the rocks, not quite as important for the chilling portion of it, but I may want the aeration of shaking. A lot of times if I'm doing like a classic Manhattan, I'm sorry, a classic martini, for example, for a martini drinker that's been drinking them forever, that's not a James Bond fan, they want the drink stirred because they want it crystal clear. Right. That's fine. Right. That's how you'll do it, right?
Clarity. Yes.
So again, it has to do with the appearance of the drink, and it has to do with the intention of the presentation.
Right. So well said. And take your favorite cocktail and try them side by side and see what the different differentials are. I think that's also
so
important.
Here's an interesting experiment that you can do really simply, and I start basic bartending classes with this. If you don't buy into anything that I just said, get some cranberry juice. Pour the cranberry juice in a glass, chill it, get it down to like 40 degrees is refrigerator temperature, pour it in a glass and taste it, just right out of the container. Then I want you to put it on ice, and I want you to shake it for a good 30 seconds. Again, it's going to foam up just like this. I want you to pour that into a glass and taste it. Text me, email me, whatever, if it doesn't taste noticeably different. Just shaking that juice will change the flavor of the juice. And then you can just go from there.
Right. It's amazing what that process can do, the temperature can do for juices, for whether it's milk, Coca-Cola. I mean, that's something that you can really experiment with and see. This is a lot of fun. These are two great new cocktails. We're going to put them up on BourbonBlog. That way everybody can see. Again, the first one we did, if you're just joining us or just joined us recently, we used a jelly jar that had some remnants of jelly. We shook it with bourbon. Then we added the ice and bitters, and you got your own portable glass. You think we'll probably be seeing more people walking around the streets with these? I feel like, where glass is legal.
Then I will feel that I have contributed to humanity in some way. I'm not sure whether that's good or bad, but that's my contribution. I can live with it.
And then the pineapple espresso. Again, tell us the ingredients real quick for the pineapple espresso.
Yeah, so that was about 2 ounces of espresso, about a half ounce of honey. Mix it up real well so it's dissolved. Add some ice. Then you're going to do, I'm going to say 6 ounces of pineapple, but anywhere between 2 and 6 is good. Pineapple juice, and about 2 ounces of any dark rum will work. I use Kraken because it's flavored, which brings just a little bit more of a layer to the drink. Shake it up really well, strain it over some fresh ice, and then garnish it with a pineapple wedge if you have one around. Again, super simple. Don't stress if you don't.
Nicely done. Such a delicious cocktail. The flavors are so balanced. I don't think I've ever had pineapple and coffee in the same drink. Maybe I've had them for breakfast, but this is such a very well-balanced, unique cocktail. Again, it's Anthony Caporale. I want to give your website here, and also there's anthonycaporale.com. Make sure you visit anthonycaporale.com to see all the great things Anthony does. And Anthony, I know we had an episode with you during what would have been Kentucky Derby in May, and we talked about the future, whether it's for bar. We could talk about this for a while, but just kind of a general thoughts of where we're at right now on how COVID has affected both the spirits industry and also you as someone that's worked in the hospitality industry for a while. Yeah,
I mean it's rough, right? I need a drink before I get into this. But,
yeah, it's rough.
You just keep hearing the same things over and over again. No. But certainly, they've been saying New York is the epicenter. I don't know if we are anymore in terms of caseload, but it was certainly the epicenter for a while there. It was crazy. We are in phase 4 very recently, and bars and restaurants are starting to reopen. What I'm hearing is that it's a tough row to hoe. you know, we're allowed to dine outdoors, and that means several things. It's one, the seating is very limited. I do a lot of restaurant consulting. I've been a general manager of many restaurants. Again, I teach restaurant management. Restaurants run on razor thin margins, and I'm talking razor thin. You know, one of my favorite things to do is to ask someone who's not in the business, how much money do you think that restaurant, and I point to a restaurant on the corner, grosses in sales a year, and how much do you think the owner makes?
Right.
And they're always off by 5 to 10 times in terms of sales, and 5 to 10 times in terms of profit. So people just don't understand how difficult it is to make money in the restaurant industry. And I'm going to take this opportunity to kind of let people know numbers that I think everyone should know. It's funny, when I started working as a server, we used to joke that before they let somebody dine in a restaurant, you should have to work in a restaurant. And I still don't know that would be a terrible idea. But the reality is, most restaurants try to make 10% profit. That means out of every dollar you spend, they try to make a dime in profit, and they fail miserably. The average restaurant is probably making 2 to 5% in profit, and that's if they're in business and surviving. First year, 2 or 3, or a restaurant that's not doing well is probably losing money, and that's the reality of it. So if your restaurant is grossing $1 million in sales, and you are the best manager on the planet, you might be making $100,000. And I can tell you there's a lot easier ways to make $100,000, especially since the .com era.
Right.
And that's a lot of money. Most restaurants aren't making anywhere near $1 million in gross sales. 30% of that goes directly to labor, 30% goes to food costs, and 30% goes to everything else: overhead, rent, insurance, marketing, all of that. And labor costs have been going up. So we now say 30 to 40% of that goes to labor. And so it's a tough business. In order to make that model work, you need an engineering mentality. You need to sit down and say, okay, I have a restaurant of X square footage. I can put X number of tables in it. I can make this amount of money. And at the end of the year, hopefully I'll have this amount of profit. You change any of those variables and the model doesn't work anymore. And you certainly can't take a restaurant that has, 40 seats and expect them to survive on 5 outdoor seats. You just can't do it. Even if you scale the labor back, it takes a certain minimum amount of people to run the kitchen, to do ordering, to open, to close, to clean. You just can't do it. So it's very difficult to scale that business, especially within an existing operation. The other problem is, suddenly it rains, and I've watched this. I've been walking past restaurants that looked like the outdoor business was doing fairly well, and it started to rain. And what happens? Now you've lost the whole night. You certainly can't survive that way. So it's incredibly challenging, and I'm not sure how we're going to get back to it. But what I will say is, what everyone is saying, you've got to take every opportunity to support these restaurants. If you have a restaurant that you're a fan of, and it may not be every restaurant that you patronize, but you got to pick your favorites. Order takeout as much as you can. Order delivery as much as you can. Start to patronize the restaurant. This is a group effort. That's what it's going to take. Anyway, so do what you can to support those restaurants, because they're not making it. They're not having an easy time. What I'm most concerned about is that even the restaurants that were able to take some relief funds, when they can finally reopen, if that 2 to 5% profit that I talked about, that I hope they're making, if they can't sustain that because their business drops by 5%, they're going out of business in 3 months, even if they made it through this whole crisis. They'll go out of business in 6 months. All of that money, all the saving, all of the creativity that they put into trying to get through this crisis is out the window. So we need to do whatever we can to support them through the crisis. We need to be able to do whatever we can to start to patronize them at as close to normal levels as possible afterwards. And the same thing with the liquor companies. I'm probably talking to more liquor companies than I am even to restaurants, and they're having a tough time of it. The home delivery stuff is happening. Liquor sales, for those of you who don't know, we categorize into two boxes. One is what we call on-premise, which is bars and restaurants, and the other is off-premise, and that's liquor stores. If you live in places that have ABC stores, you know them as that. Most liquor brands introduce you to the brand in bars and restaurants, but they make money when you buy the bottle to take home, because that's a lot more profitable for them. So we say you build the brand in the on-premise at bars and restaurants. That's how you build brands, make them popular, but you keep the brand alive through off-premise,
right?
If that makes sense. And that's, right now, all we have is off-premise. So how do you introduce new brands? How do you connect with the consumers? How do you do all those great things that I used to enjoy doing with you, Tom? So going around to bars and restaurants and making cocktails and connecting with consumers and introducing to new brands. Even if we can sustain sales, we can't grow without bars and restaurants. That's how we grow, right, as liquor brands. So we got to figure out how to replace that. And Tom, I got to tell you, I started this whole thing with what a great job I sincerely believe you do and how much you've done for the industry. Why that's particularly relevant now? This is the equivalent of visiting a bar and visiting a restaurant, right? This is it, man. This is interfacing directly with consumers. Hopefully the folks out there are enjoying this. Hopefully I didn't put everyone to sleep in the last 5 minutes. I'll shut up, I promise.
No, it's so important what you do.
But this is really important. This is how we continue to connect.
That's right.
With who I said, the most important person, the drinker, the consumer, the guest. That's it. And it's through things like this. It's through online. It's through live online. It's through creating and sharing new recipes. We need to do that. And we need to think of it as something that we need to do.
Right.
I guess I'm going to stop there, but
no,
so yeah.
Everything you said, I think it's so well explained with both restaurants, bars, the models they go by, and again, places like just yesterday in Kentucky, understandably there's more COVID cases. They've taken the scale down back to 25% for capacity inside. Outdoor, it's all you can do. But again, when we have to think about how can a restaurant or bar really survive on that, many of them cutting back to go only. Hopefully this will be back in a better place soon, but until then, we're going to continue to support restaurants, support, hopefully, support all brands you can, but look at what's local. We love showcasing all types of personalities and spirits on our show, but we've really tried to focus on smaller craft brands, and when you go out to the liquor store, try a brand. If you've never tried Kings County bourbon, pick up one of those, try some new bourbons. And hopefully this will help everybody out, because I know that we all need a good drink right now. And I know that some people are reaching for one. Hopefully all of you watching, a lot of people have been telling us what you've been drinking down below. And even, we even had just a comment just now. Love Anthony's new beard and facial here. Someone said, Tom, you should keep growing it like Anthony. So I told Anthony at the beginning of this show, I may have to catch up to him at some point, but you're looking good, man. It's a good beard.
Thanks, man. Thinking about going into beard oil sales.
You may have to. You may have to. No, thanks for all the great comments. We're so glad to have everybody watching. We're going to keep this video up permanently on places you're watching it. We're also going to put it up the audio on our podcast, and we're going to put the recipes up on BourbonBlog.com. And again, if you do get a chance to visit Anthony's site to learn a little bit more about Anthony, AnthonyCaporale.com. Anthony, this has been a lot of fun. Your cocktails are both amazing. The Jelly Jar Old Fashioned, the Pineapple Espresso. We'll get you on again here in the near future, and we'll try some more that you've come up with during COVID.
That would be great, man. If you got anybody out there who has a whiskey brand and maybe they want to donate a couple bottles, I'd love to do a contest. I think a Jelly Jar Old Fashioned contest would be really fun.
Let's do that. I would love that. Let's see who can come up with the best Jelly Jar Old Fashioned. If you've come up with a great recipe, drop me a line there at tom@bourbonblog.com, and maybe we'll find the best one that's submitted and here in a few weeks, and we'll try it out. What do you say, Anthony?
I'm always up for coming back on, Tom. You're the best.
I love it, man. Great to see you, Anthony. Stay well there in New York, and everyone watching. Stay safe and well. Keep supporting bars, restaurants, great spirits and whiskey. Thanks for joining us, Anthony. So great to see you tonight, man.
Cheers, guys. Stay well and stay positive.